What's up, guys? Rick here with your DFS preview for this week's Farmers Insurance Open. And before we jump into the preview, just a few housekeeping items. First off, getting set up in the new digs, right? Looking good. Background looks a little different. Hopefully you enjoy the improvements. Otherwise, last week was really great. I know there were a ton of Patrick Cantlay tickets out there. I'm hoping that many of you, like I did, backed it up with a top 5 or with an each way, something like that. He tried to steal that event away from Siwoo Kim, and I did get a lot of winning bets sent to me. I got a lot of lineups sent to me, and as I like to do from time to time is call some of these out because I think they're worth recognition, and I think it's, you know, a little motivation for everybody else, be able to celebrate the community just a little bit. And the two that stood out to me for this week was Ryan, who turned his $12 into $339 through a combination of core cascading, which is a strategy that I have a video on. I will link it right here. And then also, the dime time and the quarter arcade, taking advantage of those. He won the dime time. That's a 10-cent entry fee. And I think that, especially for whether they're newcomers or people who are building a bankroll, I think that's a really good way to go about doing it. So congratulations to Ryan. And then Randy sent me a nice email, turned his $5 single entry into $1,000. So by winning that event. So I think my bigger story here is no matter your bankroll, no matter what your playing level is, there are contests for you. There are opportunities to get great ROIs like we saw this week. Play within your means, all that good stuff. So those were two I really wanted to shout out. Congratulations, guys. And congratulations to Paul and Spaz Golfer, who won subscriptions to RickRunGood.com last week. If you would like to enter a draw to win access to RickRunGood.com, join the community, try to get your name into these winning shout outs, or at least just look at the data and have a great time. There are two ways to do so. So for this week, if you're here on YouTube, like and make sure you are subscribed to the Rick Run Good YouTube channel. Like this video and comment below with your favorite golfer under $8,000 this week. That's right, we are going for value. The other way and the easier way to win, because less people do it, go drop a 5-star rating and review on iTunes for the podcast version of this show. It's called 300 Yards to Unknown. I will link it in the description. Takes you 10 seconds, and it's a much easier way to win this draw. You do both of those, you get 2 entries. And then finally, this is it. I promise, then we'll get to the DFS video. 2 live chats this week, as we do every week. The Wednesday live chat, 3 p.m. Eastern time on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel. That is for your ownership. Any potential weather concerns, which I don't think are going to be an issue this week. Question and answer, all that good stuff that we can go through on Wednesday. And then Wednesday evening, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time, Joe Idoni and myself doing another Jock Market Power Hour. This thing is absolutely wild. If you have not joined Jock Market yet, highly encourage you to do so. It is literally investing in athletes and golfers as if they are stocks for the course of a tournament. It's unbelievable. It is fun. There is a ton of ROI out there. There are guys who are literally returning 5, 8, 10 times value or 10 times their price over the course of just 4 days. It's a lot of fun. It's catching on. A lot of people are playing. It is going to be the next big thing, and I hope you join us for that. Okay. I love Torrey. One of my favorite places in the world. Let's get to it. All right, let's dive into it for this week. And obviously, everything you see on this video will be available and is available on RickRunGood.com. Hoping to do probably one more refresh this week. So you're going to start to see some of these, banners at the top that say, hey, if you're running into any issues, things are still kind of in beta. You're going to start to see those banners removed. I made a couple of mistakes in over-automating a lot of things in the first couple of weeks, trying to outsmart myself. You guys didn't notice anything, but it was more difficult to refresh on my end, something I fixed moving forward. But anyway, this week, Torrey Pines, one of my favorite places on earth. You get 2 courses, so we're going to get the same 2-course rotation that we had last week at the American Express. So the North Course and the South Course at Torrey Pines. The South Course, that's the one you probably all know. That's the one in the video games. That's the one that's played host to the U.S. Open and will play host to it again this year. And that's the one that is going to be for 3 rounds this week. So all golfers will play 1 round on the North, 1 round on the South. They'll make a cut, and they will go to the weekend on the South Course. And historically, the North Course has been kind of a rollover, right? I mean, it's been an easy course, but not as easy anymore. There was a redesign a few years ago, and now they actually have a 3-hole stretch called the Undertow, which I've played. It's very difficult, and it's one of the most difficult 3-hole stretches on the PGA Tour. So the North Course is no longer just a little cupcake that you used to get. It is more difficult. But both courses together, especially the South Course, you have to play it out of the fairway. I mean, the rough is going to be thick. The way that Mark Leishman won it last year is rare. You're not supposed to be able to miss all those fairways, gouge it out to the green, and make a bunch of putts. You're not supposed to be able to do that. And then speaking of putting, we're back on Poa annua. So remember, this surface actually grows throughout the day. It buds. It makes for a really bumpy experience, especially late in the day. Combine that with the speed of the greens and some of the real awkward nuances that you get at Torrey Pines. Expect some 5-footers to be missed, okay? Especially in the afternoon waves. You're going to see some short putts missed. It just tends to happen here. I mean, everything, it looks like obviously everything should go to the water. It doesn't look like that when you're trying to read some of these greens. It's confusing, and then you get the buds from the Poa annua, and you're in trouble. So anyway, the other thing that we need to talk about besides the course itself is how consistent this course is. It generally plays the same year in and year out. The field strength is usually pretty similar, and it's one of the strongest course history courses. So what you're going to notice when we flip over to the cheat sheet is that guys who have success here seem to have success every single year, and guys that struggle seem to struggle every year. It is one of the strongest correlators in terms of year-over-year course history to itself that we get on the PGA Tour. So keep that in mind. I'll point out a couple of names when we get over to the cheat sheet. So with all that being said, it's a big park. You got to hit it far. You got to keep it in the fairway. That is usually the recipe for success. And when we've been running the model, this is the model that I run every single week, every single course on the PGA Tour. The top 2 most important stats are just chef's kiss sublime. Strokes gained putting, the most important stat here. There are 13 courses on the PGA Tour where strokes gained putting is more important than Torrey Pines, but strokes gained putting has been the strongest correlator to success over the years here. And those are good putters. I'm not talking about the week that they won. They gained a lot of strokes putting. Of course they did. That happens every year. That would be a silly model to run. This looks at player profiles and types of golfers, and good putters, dare I say great putters, have success at this event. And it's for all the reasons I outlined earlier with the greens and the complex and all that stuff. The next stat, driving accuracy. No surprise. I've tried to gouge it out of the rough at Torrey Pines. It's a half a shot penalty. It's very difficult. I have to advance it with a wedge. Obviously, the pros can do much better than I can, but it is a really tricky situation if you're constantly playing out of the rough. And then birdie or better percentage and strokes gained total are the next 2 correlators, which shouldn't be much of a surprise. The biggest surprise is that strokes gained approach is actually 33rd. It's actually the least important, most common stat, I guess is the way that I want to put it. Still very important, 33 out of 50 courses that we regularly get on the PGA Tour, but these other stats up the way are much more important. So where do we go? Who are the putters? This tool right here, this is probably going to look a little bit different in a couple of weeks, but what it's doing now is essentially a blend of the last 2 seasons, 2020 season, 2021 season, because I didn't want to have the small sample size of 2021 kind of mess with this, but this is going to change. But here we go. Strokes gained putting. The guys that putt really well. Well, Kokrak has been an animal this season. Peter Malnati, same thing. The names that you might consider are like Xander Schauffele, who we have a lot of oxygen to spend on Xander Schauffele this week. Patrick Reed is up there near the top. Charles Howe III, great putter, also plays this stretch of golf from from Waialae to the American Express to this week at Farm. This is usually a good stretch of golf for Charles Howe III. And then Cameron Smith kind of rounds out some of the names that you might be interested in that are good putters. And then we're going to look at driving accuracy because, of course, that's going to be important this week. James Hahn Very interesting name. He has gained strokes in all 4 major categories. He's having a great 2021 season. He is the most accurate driver of the golf ball in this field. Little bit of a small sample size issue with him, but not too concerned about it. And then John Huh is second. Corey Connors is a name that you might consider. Scotty Scheffler, a name that you might consider near the top of the list as well. So those are the types of golfers that I'm looking for. Let's hang over to the cheat sheet here and actually talk some specifics. All right, 5 golfers over $10,000. Jon Rahm leads the way yet again, second straight week, but no WD this week, at least not yet, knock on wood. Jon Rahm, 11,300. Remember, he was 11,500 last week before he WD'd, and then Patrick Cantlay became the favorite, but he headlines this field. And I have to admit, there are an awful lot of question marks in the 10K range. The Jon Rahm question mark is much smaller than others. You know, he had an injury last week. I don't want to put it in quotes. It's actually an injury that he said if he needed to, he could have played through it. I think he kind of just tweaked something while he was working out at home. Wasn't a big deal. He just thought, you know what, I'm going to take one more week. I'll go to Torrey Pines. All good. So that's the tiniest of question marks around Jon Rahm. Otherwise, he has been absolutely phenomenal at this event. A win, a second, a fifth, and a 29th. 4 trips, no worse than 29th with a trophy. You absolutely can't beat it. Then you get a lot of question marks with Rory, Finau, Xander Schauffele, and then I don't know if you want to lump Patrick Reed into the question marks thing. I guess you could. But here's the thing with Rory, and I think my decision in the 10K range is really going to be decided by ownership. I think that's going to play a huge part into it because I think you're going to see some guys that are toxic and I think you're going to see some guys that are beloved here. And I don't know where Rory falls yet. So Wednesday, the live chat, 3 p.m. Eastern time, we'll check it out. But for me, what I saw from Rory last week, and he played in Dubai, and he played in a European Tour event with it was a pretty stout field. Terrell Hatton won it. Rory finished third, and Rory for 2 days shot the round of the day. The other 2, he was even par 72, and he falls short. When I was watching, I saw a bit of Jekyll and Hyde, a bit of dazzling approach shots, which is the one thing that has held him back, and then a lot of subpar play as well. So that's a big question mark with Rory. He's only played here twice. He's top 5'd both of them. I think Rory's in for a big 2021. I would probably prefer him at a $300 discount off of Jon Rahm, and probably assuming that his ownership doesn't touch Jon Rahm. I think on Wednesday, we're going to have this conversation where Rory ends up being my guy. Finau has plenty of question marks because he just continues to not be able to close out golf tournaments. He's had a lot of great success here, but it's really hard to back a guy that tends to fall apart or at least not pull it off every Sunday. And then Xander Schauffele, here, this is the big one. This is the really, really big one. Xander's going to be the guy that either wins you all the money or loses you all your entries this week. I don't know which one, but we're going to find out. I'm going to pull up the golfer profiles here because I want to deep dive into Xander just a bit here. So let's pull up Xander. And oh, look at that. That's a great shot. Actually, before I do that, look at this great Siwoo headshot from that I have. Look at that. That guy's a hero. Look at this hero shot. It's beautiful. I love it. Xander, let's pull him up, has been on an unbelievable stretch of golf. I mean, look at his metrics, year by year breakdown. These are all of his measured rounds. He's been phenomenal. He's getting better. Look at this. Every single year, tee to green, year over year, getting better. Currently in the midst of his best season ever. Of course, only 16 measured rounds in. You look at some of his fantasy returns, and he goes 12.5 times value at the Tournament of Champions, 11.5 at the CJ Cup. That's an event he probably should have won. But he rarely disappoints. I mean, look at it's just unbelievable. Whatever metric you want to look at, Xander's been phenomenal. He has not missed a cut, if I'm reading this correctly, since this event last year, which has been the bugaboo. This one event, the guys missed. There was such a good stat. Will Haskett tweeted something out just a couple of minutes ago. It was something like 19% of his career missed cuts are at this event. Like something wild like that. The guy doesn't miss cuts. He's been on an unbelievable run, but he's played here 5 times, I want to say. Yeah, 5 times. He has a T25 and 4 missed cuts. He's played here a bunch. He went to Torrey Pines High School. He's from the area. He just cannot. I don't know what it is. If he comes home, he has other obligations. I don't know, but he hasn't been able to figure it out. So you're making, I made this argument that Torrey Pines year over year is a course that you either thrive at or you do not. It's hard for guys to flip the switch in either direction. So Xander's probably going to have to be a fade for me. Now, if he's like 7% owned, like on Wednesday, I'll figure something else out. But right now, that's a bit concerning. And when I talk about consistency, you can kind of look through some of this. Charles Howell III, down here, 4 top 20s in a row. Then you look at someone like Ricky Fowler, who has his last 5 events, he's missed 4 cuts and he's finished 66. You either see a lot of red or you see a lot of green in the tournament history. That's why I say it's a very consistent event. It's a very consistent event year over year. The 9K range is pretty interesting. Harris English leads it off. He's $9,800. He finishes 32nd at the Sony, which is, in all honesty, a pretty good finish coming off your first victory in 7+ years. So he's back at it this week. He's had a couple of good finishes at the Farmers before. I think that's a solid play at 9,800. The interesting plays are Brooks. Brooks is 94. We're getting pretty close to me being back on Brooks, I think. I will tell you, I've actually already got a bet in on him, but I got him at a longer number than this and how I would kind of translate it to his DraftKings number. So at 9,400, I'm lukewarm on it. At the number I got him, which I think was like 38-1, I love that much more, especially because you have, Brooks's win equity is a lot more than a lot of these other guys, but in fantasy purposes, you got to kind of put it all together. It's just kind of weird. So I get a bit immersed with Victor Hovland. He wins Mayakoba, doesn't play all that well at the Tournament of Champions. And I want to pull up his profile here, because at least with Hovland, you kind of know exactly what you're getting, right? Oh, look, his Oklahoma State headshot. That's great. He's an absolutely phenomenal ball striker. I mean, anytime you are at a stroke off the tee in the positive, a stroke on approach, he did that in 2019. 2020, he was basically 1.1, 1.2 combined in those two categories. Really legit stuff. Now, the issue's right here. It's the short game. It's the putter. It's the around the green game. And that concerns me at Torrey Pines. I mentioned, it takes a level of experience on these Poana greens, on reading these nuances. We know the short game is not necessarily his strong suit, but look at his distribution of results. I mean, the guy has been super solid. Rarely will bomb, right? Will rarely bomb. His upside might be capped to a couple of times a year, but this is a really good distribution for him, really solid. And you have to be in the fairway, and the longer you are, the better, which makes Hovland super interesting to me. I'm dying to see what the Wolf and Scheffler ownership numbers are. Scheffler especially, who was one of the most popular golfers in all formats last week, missing the cut, and he's played here once and he missed the cut. No idea what the industry is going to do. That number, his ownership could come in really low. I'm interested if it does. Those are two guys I'm going to keep an eye on over the course of the week. The $8,000 range, you get a couple of course history guys. You get the past champion and Mark Leishman, who I will not be investing in. You get Jason Day, Cam Smith, Adam Scott, literally every Aussie in the field is in here. Adam Scott's interesting. I don't want to tease the betting preview that's going to come out tomorrow, but I guess I will. So I ran the simulation for this week, and I'm really loving this tournament predictor tool. I'm honing it in each and every week. I started with 250 simulations, then I went to 500. This week I've got 1,000 simulations, and the best value that I could find is Adam Scott. I have him winning this golf tournament 4.6% of the time at 45-1. That's about twice as often as odds makers would want you to believe. And of course, because the odds so closely, or the DraftKings salaries so closely resemble the outright odds, that also would indicate that $8,300 is probably too cheap for Adam Scott. The thing with him is he does not have a lot of recent data to pump into the model. But when he's played, obviously he's played well at times and he showed the upside at the Genesis. That helps in a big way. He's played this event once in the last 5 years, second place finish 2 years ago. So that would be my circle. That would be my target. And then along with the other guys in the bottom of the 8K range, Ryan Palmer, can I bring up his player profile real quickly? Because he has been phenomenal. And I've been mentioning this as early and often as I can. He's a 10 times value machine. Looking at his last, let's just run through these couple of starts. 9 times value, 20, 18, 12, 12, 3 at the US Open, really bad place for him. 12 at the Tour Championship, 5, and then he goes 13, 11, 10, 13. I mean, he's just almost every single week getting you 10 times value, sitting in the low 8s. He's had a lot of good success around Torrey Pines, which you wouldn't think he would because he's not a long hitter, but he's accurate. He's played it 3 times in the last 3 years, 2nd, 13th, and then 21st. But that 21st last year, if you remember correctly, I'm pretty sure he was in the final group. I think he was in the final group on Sunday, did not play well on Sunday, and fell to T21, but I'd argue he played better than that week. So Palmer is a guy I'm really interested in, and then I'm just loading up on guys at the bottom of the 8s. Will Zalatoris is here. It is, I believe, officially Will Zalatoris season. He is just an up-and-coming star. By all metrics that we have from the Korn Ferry, he was dominant. I mean, he had 11 straight top 20s, I believe, which was a Korn Ferry Tour record. He did not slow down when he played a little bit on the PGA Tour in the fall. He had 3 top 10s, including the US Open. He is arguably, he could possibly be a top 25 player in the world right now. Obviously doesn't have the strength of schedule and the enough events to kind of make that happen. It's possible he's a top 25 player. And if he is a top 25 player, then 8,100 is much too cheap. So we're going to find out what Will Zalatoris is. Super bullish long-term. We'll see what he does. We'll see what he does this week. Down into the 7K range. This is where things get a little bit interesting. Cam Davis, if you've been following along, you know I love this kid. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's $7,900, all the raw talent in the world. I play him all the time. And it paid off in a big way last week at the American Express with his 3rd place finish. I'm pumping the brakes for a minute. Bullish long-term, bearish this week. And the reason for that is he gained like 5.5 strokes putting last week. I think he was 4th best in the field. That number's coming down. He's usually about an average and neutral putter. He putts very close to 0 most weeks. So for him to gain like 5.5 over 4 days, that's probably coming down. And then he holes out for eagle once, which obviously, holing out from the fairway 100 and I don't know what he was, 50 yards out is both luck and skill. Obviously skill to hit it very close and luck for it to somehow drop. So when you look at those two things, those are 2 pretty lucky things to happen to him over the course of 72 holes. And I think he's now on a lot of more people's radar. He's still under $8,000 and I'm going to have to be out this week. I hope he proves me wrong. He's phenomenal, but that's a bit scary. Gary Woodland is here as well, 7,800 and Woodland, if we're giving him a pass for just being hurt, which I think we should, his results were probably because of the injury that he had, the torn labrum. And if we think he's healthy now, we kind of have to be interested in this. He goes out, finishes 16th last week at the American Express. This is a course that he's had a lot of good success at. He's got 4 top 20 finishes in the last 5 years. He is accurate and long off the tee when he's in his really good Gary Woodland form. So that's interesting. And then what other suckers with me are going to be on Sam Burns? Obviously, he's one of the most popular golfers on the planet last week. He goes out and shoots, I think, like a 77 in round 1. It's over. It's over on Thursday. Bounces back with a 66 on Friday. That's the Sam Burns we were looking for. Really good round. I think he made an eagle at one point as well. So if we say he just had to shake off the rust in his first round in over 2 months, then Sam Burns is someone we should probably consider this week. I don't know if it's a great fit for him, but I'll be keeping a close eye on Sam Burns moving forward. Jordan Spieth is here. Yeah, we got to talk about Jordan Spieth again. And I guess let's pull up his profile. We are closing in on a year. Pebble Beach was his last top 10 for Jordan Spieth. And obviously it's been, 3.5 years since he claimed victory last. And it's all right here. The thing that he lost is off the tee and approach. His short game is still spectacular. He doesn't have the magic putter that he used to, but he's really just punted strokes to the field almost every single round off the tee. And I know that that's the one thing that he's been working to get through. He's been going through swing changes. There's a chance he's at rock bottom, which is sometimes what you have to hit to kind of get back to all of this. But you look at, how many strokes he has lost to the field over the last 12, 18, even, I don't know, call it 24 months. It's pretty scary. But the argument for rostering Jordan Spieth, and I also thought this way at Colonial too, which is I think you want to get Spieth off of long layoffs. There is so much wrong with his game that you want to get it after he's been grinding, he's been working on, he's got it on film, not playing in competition every single week where things just kind of get gradually worse every single week. So I think you either play him now or you never play him. And then also, I also do kind of believe that compared to his peers, if Jordan Spieth even gets back to 60% of 2015 Jordan Spieth, which I know was like historic, but like 2017 Jordan Spieth, right? 60% of that. He has more upside than basically every single guy who's priced near him, right? That's the argument. So we'll see. Someone I obviously want to keep a close eye on over the course of the next year, but it's really such a phenomenal thing that's going on with him. The bottom of the sevens are a little bit scary. Doug Gim, who burned everybody 2 weeks ago and bounced back last week, played well. He's here in this range. He has a top 20 here 2 years ago. I would probably look back at John Ha and James Hahn. Those are two guys that interest me in the bottom of the sevens. And then jumping down into the sixes, Kevin Streelman, is always kind of interesting in these situations where you are reliant on ball striking and a guy who can pop. That is literally Kevin Streelman. He's done it here in the past, right? He had a third place finish in 16. He missed the cut in 19. He's got a couple of other kind of middle finishes since then. Ball striking and ability to pop off is something that you cannot always find in the $6,000 range. So he would be one of those guys that certainly interests me. We saw Tyler Duncan for most of the week last week play pretty well. He ended up finishing 56, but now he's got 2 consecutive cuts in a row after missing 3. I wouldn't be thrilled to go down to Tyler Duncan at $6,500, but I've done worse things. And before we get out of here, let's run a custom model. So I've got the new, I've got all the stats loaded in. So this week, what do we know? Well, we know strokes gained putting is really important, and I'm going to weigh it as if it is, and this is out of character for me. I know that accuracy is important. I'm going to give that 25 weights. I'm going to give distance a little bit as well because obviously I'd prefer you to be long. And then let's do 15 on birdie or better, and I've got 10 left over, and I'm a sucker for... well, off the tee, I've already got distance and accuracy. I could do approach, but I've already learned that is actually the least valuable of all the common stats. So maybe I will do... Could I do around the green? I mean, Torrey's, you get some super awkward, difficult spots there. So this model, before I even check the results, this is very anti-Rick, right? I mean, this is team short game, which scares me. Let's see what the results are. Oh, also, by the way, I had this accidentally defaulted into alphabetical. If you just click score, you can change. These are all sortable. So I got like a couple emails that were like, oh my God, the custom model isn't working. Yeah, just click score. No big deal. All right. My top golfer, Jon Rahm. Probably shouldn't be surprised about that. Harris English, number 2. That is interesting. Xander. Oh, Xander, number 3. Interesting. I'm going to have to decide on that. Billy Horschel, 4. That's a name I would not have got to. Sungjae Im is 5. Christopher Ventura, 6. Denny McCarthy, 7. Ricky Fowler, 8. Yeah, these are putters. My God, this is so scary. This is against every... I'm having I'm having shortness of breath looking at this list. It's crazy. None of these guys I would have rostered. Well, I guess maybe Ram in English or whatever, or Sungjae. Let's look at Billy Horschel real quick, because really what I use this model for is to try to identify guys that my bias would not have allowed me to. And I have to admit, Billy Horschel's been really good. 7th at Sony, 24th at the Tournament of Champions, 5th in Mayakoba. He's got 2 top 10s here in the last 5 years. Good putter. Maybe I should start considering Billy Horschel more often. And then I'll really have to make a decision on Xander, which will just come later in the week when ownership comes out. That'll do it for the DFS preview for this week's Farmers Insurance Open. Phenomenal event. Bear with me on some of these tool updates. You might see some things change or like, oh, that's weird, but the data should all be accurate, but I'm working on the back end stuff as I go through probably one more week of all this. But yeah, tweet me at RickRunGood. Leave a comment below. Best of luck this week. See you out there.